Thank you so much for being here.
You want to go ahead?
Let's introduce ourselves. SSTAC members. I'm Patrick Hagan. I'm the chair of SSTAC.
I'm Hallie Fonseca. I'm vice chair.
I'm Jackie Rose. I work for Shasta County. Christina Frostberry, president. An additional member.
An additional member.
Carrie Carbone with United Way of Northern California. And I believe that's it for our SSTAC members. We want to have the members of the public, since we don't have anybody introduce themselves also.
Yes.
That's from partners.
Are there any partners or members of the community that would like to introduce themselves?
Yeah, Keith Williams with the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency, Senior Transportation Planner.
Good afternoon, Sean Tejan, Executive Director at the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency. Sean Gideon, Principal Engineer with Shasta County Public Works.
Justine Marmish, LSC Transportation Consultants.
Kathy Gray, Caltrans, Regional Planning, District 2. Sherry Clark, Caltrans, Regional Planning.
Kelly Babcock, Caltrans as well, Transit Coordinator.
Laurent Beauregard, Assistant Transportation Planner at CERN.
And I'm Jennifer Ballum. I show up as a transit technical support staff down there with CERTA. That's it. Let's see, another consultant.
Sorry, yes, Katie DeMaio is also here from AIM Consulting. She's responsible for all these beautiful boards you're seeing out here. She has run out to get a few more refreshments for us.
All right. Are there any public comments for this meeting? If not, we might as well go ahead and move to our
Okay. We're on item 3 of the meeting agenda, information item A. It's quite, I will talk about this. It's the 2024-25 unmet transit needs process. I just wanted to give a heads up that we will be getting that. I know it's September, so when I say 24-25, that starts July 1 of 24 and goes through June 30th of 25, because we do work on a state fiscal year. The unmet transit needs will look at, we will be presenting quite a few things. You can look at past ones on our website, but the very first thing we do is really get a survey out. And to the extent anybody in this room can share and share widely the survey link, we will make certain it gets onto the Reading Area Bus Authority buses, onto the Dignity Health Connected Living buses, vehicles, and if we can get it out to your agencies and clients, that would be great, so we can get good responses for any things that they think transit is doing well and things that need to improve for transit in our region, which is Shasta County and the 3 incorporated cities. So expect to see something coming out about that probably in November, actually, maybe mid-October. And that concludes my discussion on the unmet transit needs. Kristen? Yeah. If you can sit in the front, just we're trying to keep the SSTAC membership.
I was going to say,
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. And Kristen Schrader is here as a member of SSTAC. She's also an additional member. Let's see, so now we're gonna be on the meeting agenda, item 3B, transit operator and other member updates. John Ando, the transit manager for the Reading Area Bus Authority, was unable to attend, but provided an update. Keith, if you want to, so that I'm not just continuing to talk, I would love for somebody else. And we can, and Hallie, as the contract manager, she could add information as well.
All right. So this is literally just straight from my email here. John wishes he could attend, by the way. Route 15 starts on October 2nd and will serve the airport, the VA clinic, and the Veterans Home. It will run Monday through Saturday and running 10 times a day. And the schedule will be available at rabaride.com. Route 18 will be revised as a result of this and operate on Saturdays. This was formerly known as the Crosstown Express. Route 17 will have additional trips added and operate weekdays only between downtown and Shasta College via Shasta New Drive and SR 44. Fares resume October 1st.
Yep, we've been under free fares for July, August, and September.
Passengers can download Token Transit if they want to pay via an app with credit card. Route 12 will be advertised for public hearing in November for discontinuance due to low ridership in December.
That was that big low ridership overall. It says in November. I don't think it's just in December that it was low ridership.
Okay, yeah. Maybe
I think
a
that's
decision was made in December or
It's gonna be
before December?
I think if there's gonna, at the public hearing in November is a big thing there. So anybody interested in keeping Route 12 or not using it, whatever, could speak at the public hearing of the Route Board in November.
Wi-Fi is available on buses and at the downtown transit center. Shasta College has agreed to continue to fund students riding RABA plus a facility and students for another faculty. Okay, plus faculty and students for another year under a new rate structure. Not sure what the details are of that rate structure. But, the short range transit plan is expected to be available for review in November. A rural analysis is being conducted. So like I said, I'm just reading this straight from my email, but I'm happy to recap any of that if I went too fast or if I was too long.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
The rural analysis includes burning, just so you know. So we have been doing surveys on that. It tends to be the same people doing the surveys. So we've done it, but I also think pulling data, because we do rider tally sheets for it, so I can identify what stops are being used, how many people are using. So I'm putting that together for the transit consultant and providing that information.
At least on our side, from Certa's side, I've heard about the November meeting at the RABA board quite a bit, so it seems like that's going to be another big one to attend.
I think what the group should know is that really it was the conversation we had here at SSTAC that helped RABA get return the bus to the veterans. And I know there was work that had to be done, but I think it was the focus that we were able to put on it and push it a little harder than just say our choice was to be determined or to be whatever study. And we said, no, it should be a higher priority. And then I think that was our timing was good that we got a new transit director. Just timing, I mean, I think John had some good ideas and give him credit for, and Trans staff for working on it. Get the drivers that we needed. I think there was some.
Yeah, we are, now that we settled our union contract and was able to renegotiate increases with with partnering with RABA to better the wage. We are seeing more drivers come through the door. It's the training that tends to take some time because you can't just put them in a vehicle. So there's a lot. Yeah. We've tried that. So I'm kidding. So we are working on getting our numbers up. I have like 40 applicants to go through, and 20 of them will probably want to interview, but it's the same thing, but it's a better change of format, and the company can go through and we're getting better applicants.
That's great. But I just want to point out how the filling, looking at unmet needs has a genuine positive result, and this is an example of that. So thank you all for staff time and listening.
That is, so that was the letter that you can read. That was the SSTAC, this body's recommendation to the CERTA Board of Directors as part of the last unmet transit needs and transit needs assessment process. So that letter that this committee writes, it does affect what the board decides and how the board decides to move forward.
I would like to say on the Route 15 that it was designed so it also serves that the Body View and the Save Mart shopping area there. We have a stop behind, Fast Track or something like that, gas station. We have a stop there so that people can get off and go do their shopping, whether it's to Costco or over there, Petco or whatever they want to do. So.
I bet you a lot of people don't have Route 15 pictured in their mind. Could you draw it for us by street?
Well, John has renamed a lot of our routes, and so it's going to be a learning curve for all of our passengers because they've been set in this thing of, okay, Route 3 we know goes here. Route 18 is across town now, so it's going to be a learning curve for them. So it's just getting that word out, the communication to them, and it'll be a little bit rocky for them, but we'll have our drivers on board, and I think it'll be fine.
It goes down Hilltop.
Yes, it does. It goes down Hilltop, which is going to be a challenge, but we'll see. That'll be the test when it gets busy.
Because do we have any other routes that go down Hilltop?
We have 11 and 14, but we're stopping at every stop because of if we see somebody standing there, we've got to stop because we don't know if they're going to the airport or if they're going out to the VA or what's going on. So we have to stop with them.
So yeah, that's an issue. Just that one ride between the hotels there and the airport. And
Well, we start out in the morning at 5-something, or 4:58 now. Let's change the time. 4:58 from the Sheridan there in the Civic there. And then we go up and we start at the Canby, then go down Hilltop, get on the freeway. The only thing we don't service the first hour of the day is the route or the Save Mart stops off of Money. But we do serve them both the same twice a day or twice an hour. So it'll be interesting. Yeah. No, there is not. I can't answer that because I know John is working on revising the website and stuff like that. So I can't answer to that. That's a work in progress with him.
When are all these changes to be completed by?
Well, the route
rename
all the
or
other.
whatever.
Okay. Well, Route 15 and Route 17, which was formerly known as the School Express, will start on Monday. Those are the only routes that are changing right now. And then, and then we're hoping that we can get the other ones on board. It's depending on when we get new vans in because we're going to start microtransiting and it'll be a challenge to get it. Because the last time I went through, we had to postpone it 2 or 3 times before we could start our revisions. But this time with John, with him and I working on it, we seem to get it correlated. I focused on VA. That was the most important for me to get done and make sure it was structured. Right, and so anything else that comes next year went on the back burner. So to speak.
We noticed, wait and see if Brady don't have the new routes updated in GIS.
He should, he should. He works on that, and he's very good on social media, on Facebook and things like that. So I'm not sure about the transit app. That's all he does right now, so.
John Ando,
John Ando.
the transit manager for Rado.
Okay.
Well, the
He handles
city
all
just
that.
opened released a brand new website yesterday.
Oh, did they?
The whole thing.
I'll pull it from my other.
Yeah,
The whole city website.
Oh, did they? I'll have to go and look. I'm just so busy with the routes I have.
Pretty splashy.
For the Veterans Home and the VA clinic to let them know that they've got to be letting their riders know, and Shasta has been letting their riders know.
Will you still use it on, will it still be available on Sunday out there? Because we don't.
Yeah,
I just want to know, so if they call and somebody asks, we say, yes, I still have service on
and this is for the expanded CTSA.
Okay.
Yeah, so Shasta Connect, which is a service contracted by CERTA to Dignity Health Connect and the HCL, and Brody Wilburn is the
Transit director.
director of that titles. He could answer more on this, but we do have two services. We have the expanded CTSA service, and we originally, we have the Sunday service. So we do have transit service every day of the week, which is what John Ando and Rava have been marketing over this 3 months of free fares. Yeah, that's, the biggest thing is that the service is going to be, the service area for Shasta Connect is going to change for the CTSA services Monday through Friday.
Do we happen to know over the past 3 months, summer months, whatever, we've had the riders?
A lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A lot.
Yeah,
A lot.
yeah. And can you, a lot on Bernie.
Oh, yeah. We have burning 600 to 700 passengers.
And we talked about it, that would be, if they came from Bernie to Reading, that's, one way is $5, round trip would be 10, so it's a $10 savings.
Well, I live out that direction. We tell you what, that's a whole heck of a lot of savings right there, right
Yeah.
west, for
We
sure.
saw a lot of increase of tourists using it to go up and hike and camp and things out there up at Bernie Falls and stuff. So, a lot.
I wouldn't even think about that. That's great. How many stops are in Bernie?
There's there's Bernie at the Sporting Goods, and then we stop at Montgomery Creek, Round Mountain, Bella Vista at the Mighty Fine Foods, and Shasta College. Yeah. We do one that's not published, and that's at Diddy Wells.
That's 3 in Bernie, I think, about 3 in Bernie.
Yeah. There's 2 actually in Bernie.
Because you said
One,
McArthur.
yeah. Well, we don't do MacArthur. Yeah. I think that's being looked at through this.
Microtran or other ideas.
Yeah.
The short-range transit plan that is coming out, it has a lot of changes to it, so I highly recommend reviewing that and paying attention to the changes coming from RABA, if their board agrees to it. Move on to the next item. Any other conversation about that?
Any other groups or operations, whatever?
Let's do other member updates.
Other member updates?
You want to start? Okay. Okay. And Kristen?
Oh, we're off to the walk.
We're excited.
Brighter
We're excited to hear about Rhonda.
Yeah.
I would say without John here, I would say read any information about the short-range transit plan on the November staff report when that comes out, because it's not finalized at this point.
Okay, well, I guess we'll go on to number 4, the discussion. The action, Shasta coordinated transportation plan.
This is, I'm going to go and make this. Go ahead.
This is the.
We'll go sit over here so we can watch. I do need to state, because this is a meeting of the SSTAC, we are held to Brown Act. So this is the time for the SSTAC members to speak to each other if they want to discuss anything while this presentation is going on, when we stand up and walk around. But at the conclusion of the SSTAC membership, after the conclusion of the SSTAC meeting, which we still do have one agenda item after this workshop, we have actually encouraged you to leave, just to dissuade you from talking to each other about items that could be part of the SSTAC business. If you do stay, I don't recommend talking to each other. And then also, if you do talk to each other, you would be in violation of the Brown Act if you discussed anything related, any business of the SSTAC. And we will try to remind that again at the conclusion of our last agenda item. And at that point, the three of us can go sit and watch the beginning of the workshop. And I'm guessing, are these gifts? Yeah. We have bike, it looks like stickers. We have bike stickers up here for anybody. I'll put them over here on the table.
There's so cute.
Yeah, they're cute. Fast tire.
Let's see, yep.
Great, well, you guys have a lot of things going on. I mean, even since we released our tech number 1, it sounds like the transportation landscape is constantly evolving. I think land use and housing gets a lot of the hype, but I think transportation is exciting because in some ways things are just implemented a little bit faster, even if it feels like it's taking forever. So thank you all for coming to our second SSTAC workshop regarding the update to the Coordinated Transportation Plan. Just a little introduction to those who were not involved with our last workshop. This is a joint venture with the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency. Keith and Laurent have been playing a major part in this. Our team, Justine, myself, as well as Genevieve and Claire, who are also on my team, as well as AIM Consulting. We'll be doing most of the outreach here, all these beautiful boards we're seeing today. So let's get into it. Since we last spoke, we completed our Tech Memo 2. That included an overview of 2017 strategies that we also discussed in our previous meeting, as well as a draft of our outreach to that point. Obviously today we hope to gain a lot more public input that we will include in our final plan. We distributed our transportation provider questionnaire. We emailed everyone. If we bugged you, I'm sorry, but we're just really keen on getting that input. We had 20 transportation provider responses total, which is pretty good. And we have also begun to revise the Need a Ride guide content, which we will look into a little bit more later on. So this is kind of the exciting workshop where we get to discuss what are we going to do? What are the problems? What are the solutions? Let's think big, and then we can always ratchet it back later. With this in mind, we want to just quickly go over the types of transportation gaps we like to, I'm going to use the word bucket a lot, but we like to put them into buckets so that they're a little easier to understand. The first, we've got our geographic gaps. Everything's pretty straightforward. You know, it's hard to get from point A to point B when you live in a rural place, especially with mountains and geography and rivers and lakes. We've got temporal gaps. Not all services are able to run 24/7. This is not New York City. We don't have the subway. And then there's eligibility gaps where certain people may qualify for some services and not qualify for others. This is how we like to think of the different types of gaps when we're looking at coordinated plans. The gaps that were identified in your previous coordinated transportation plan. You'll see that some things have changed since 2017, which is probably a lot of thanks to these kinds of meetings here, that you guys have Sunday transportation services now. There are still some challenges to different eligibility. I'd say post-COVID has been a new landscape. We've lost some providers, we've gained some coverage, we've lost some coverage, so we're going to try our best to sort through all of that. But again, you guys are the experts of your region, so I'm really looking for our thinking caps today. Rapid service frequency, that seems like it's just changing rapidly, so we will absolutely reflect that in our update. It looks like there are some concerns over fare expenses. I know the SRTP has looked into different fare reductions, and it's a pretty exciting time to be working on the coordinated plan while my firm is simultaneously working on the short-range transit plan, because I'm getting to see a lot of this behind the scenes with John. It's not always the case. Sometimes the short-range transit plan is coming in the future, or it was done a few years ago and needs to be updated. So it's pretty nice timing that you guys have these in a tandem right now. It's pretty unique, actually. There's some knowledge gaps of folks who don't know what kind of services are available to them. And again, a lack of interregional services. These are all pretty standard as far as the types of rural communities that we work in. So kind of an overview of 2017. New gaps that we've we're pulling them all together, and we could definitely identify more today. So if I go through these and there's something that you're not seeing up there that's absolutely a gap, please let me know. Limited door-to-door services. At our last meeting, it was expressed that some folks need help getting out the door and into the vehicles. And that's a huge challenge, barrier. Shasta Connect, currently the only Sunday service. While that's great, it's definitely focusing on that corridor, those major communities there. It's a bit of a gap. The hour-long headways can be hard to manage when you're trying to get from point A to B. You've got a kid, you're older, it's hot. The elements, we discussed that at our last meeting as well. Lack of later evening services, that came up in our discussion of our workshop today, of just, how late can we run the workshop where people are actually able to get to and from before it's over, before the services end. There are limited paratransit options, and payday certified passengers outside of the route service area. And a lack of awareness, which is super normal. People, RAVA is a big public transportation entity that people might just think, oh, that's all that we have. That's the big bus that we're seeing, but it's about raising awareness for those smaller connector services that this is really about. So, coordination challenges in the Shasta region, pretty standard. There's regulatory constraints between different types of service agencies, government agencies, limited organizational capacity and funding. Everyone seems to have a hard time hiring, keeping folks right now. And different organizational focuses, so the types of passengers that they serve, the clients that they have, and service areas provide those services within. So now the fun part. What are we going to do about it? I like to think of coordination categories in these bigger buckets. And from here, if we could have that discussion today of what do you think the priority should be for the region, give me a 1, 2, 3, 4, highest priority, lowest priority to these buckets that we're about to go over. That helps then guide what strategies should be implemented first, right? So we're going to end up with this list. I think last time, the list of about 8 strategies from 2017, but not really in order of priority. Where do we start? What will make the biggest improvement in transportation services? I'm going to pause on this for a minute, soak it in. We can revisit it later when we discuss it in case we forget which the buckets are, but maintenance, cooperation, public awareness, and expansion. They're all really important, right? But what do you think would really be guiding the Shasta region forward as far as coordination services strategies? Speaking of strategies, we've gone over these before. They're also on the board in the back. Rolled over from our previous plan. We've removed a few that we decided at the last meeting weren't quite relevant in today's landscape. So, strengthening services, marketing, mobility management program, which has a lot of different things under it. Ask me later what that is, but it comes up all the time. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Multi-organizational approach to solutions, coordination, a little redundant. More rolled over from the previous plan. Got driver recruitment, training programs, especially a regional standard for training programs where everyone knows that everyone's been trained at the same level, really having that folded in somewhere that's, universal throughout the region. That way you can borrow drivers, share drivers. New and expanded services to meet gaps, infrastructure projects, shared use of agency vehicles. So here we are with some new strategies. Those are the ones we decided to keep. Here's some new ones that have come up. Exploring affordable fare programs. How do we implement a little less burden on
stops, or enhancing stops, or coverage, or really looking at ways we have protection as well. So increase cooperation in order to enhance and expand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Those are the top ones.
Yeah, just more to follow up on Kristen's comment or suggestion. And for clarification, you were talking about better coordination between the Health Connected Living and RABA. It kind of sounded like it might have been in the context of like on-demand services, but I just want to make sure is that what you meant?
That's good clarification. I mean, coordination, actually, I think it's like a level above coordination. It's actually sharing vehicles and sharing the operation. Like you don't have two separate entities. You have a consolidated program that does all related paratransit, on-demand, Sunday, like
One umbrella.
one umbrella.
That would definitely follow under our interpretation of that.
So I guess it's more that it's actually going to be on cooperation and coordination, actually, we could say consolidation potential. But I am just saying it needs to be studied. And I don't know if it works or doesn't work, but it should at least be evaluated. And it's a good time because we have a lot of time to look at it. Okay, what has been provided.
Sounds great.
I did, from my perspective of it, I know what you guys are looking for, but when you start pulling employees from one agency to another, you've got a union versus a non-union, you're gonna have some problems there. So I'm just throwing that out.
That's good. You want to know the challenges.
That'll be a big challenge. Big challenge.
Staff is one factor.
Yeah.
We don't worry about that part. Just type the report.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about coordination and cooperation, in the prior plan, there was a lot of discussions to try to get someone to do that, and there was a lack of commitment on the major players. There was a goal of certainly was trying to encourage that to have happen, and essentially that didn't happen. There couldn't be any reconciliation on who they take on roles and responsibilities. And even then, there were challenges with staffing and other stuff back then. So years ago, how does that work? You're also, when you talk about any type of consolidation or something, I agree, studying it to figure out what's possible. What's not is a step to go. Because you're also talking about like a public agency that's a government agency that contracts out to a nonprofit. So you've done a number of different things that also, when you talk about funding programs, and how the federal and state government define who's eligible and who's not, and what are the requirements, that has another set of level of complexity that they can have to navigate. How do you handle that? So I agree. I just say historically that's not been something we have done as a region, but I think we're discussing that now with a number of folks, with some changes that have taken place at various agencies over the last 2 years, to be able to explore that and look at what is possible and how do we have cost efficiency with the funds that we get. Also, right now, both due to federal and state funding, we have an opportunity for increases in funding. So how do we use that efficiently and the opportunities as well? So it's an encouraging time to try and explore how that happens. Some of those will probably happen faster, and other things may take a little bit longer to figure out what makes sense and how to do that.
Yeah, certain agencies consolidating could mean more resources, sometimes depending on the types of agencies or nonprofit organizations and potentially less. So that's a really good point. So now anything else?
What's going to be beneficial too is the way Rabbit is moving now. Now that we have a dedicated transit manager and adding a planner, well, filling the planner position, and another position, you know, they're increasing their staff, which will help benefit and coordinate some stuff there. I've seen changes in the last 4 months that have been a benefit. So I think it's good once they get on staff and get on board, you're going to see a lot of good things. Good coordination between both agencies.
So now we have kind of a better handle of this. What I'm hearing, I'm not hearing public awareness as much, and I'm maybe not hearing expansion come up, but I am definitely hearing maintaining existing services and exploring cooperation and coordination. Not that the other two don't matter, but I am hearing a little bit more weight on those first top two.
Yeah, it's so simplistic. You need all of them.
You do.
I never, always prioritize public awareness and availability. It's just happening. It's along with everything else. Some of the other ones are internal for us, but externally that increases public awareness and bringing that into younger grades and the students more, I think is sort of the long-term plan for supporting that acceptance and use of public transportation. My oldest is disabled. It just started in Enterprise High School, and they're doing trips and going to the bowling alley every Friday and the Walmart. Everyone's in. I'm like, what's the basics? And I'm like, can we bring in some sort of monthly rides with transit so there's more familiarity with travel kids? Yes, as these these kiddos are starting through high school, and then by the time they get older, they have that awareness and they're comfortable and they've done it, and it's just like,
Yeah,
well, it's still a priority.
Yeah, not even just children, but differently able
Yes.
as well.
This is a policy law here. I wonder, is this like by definition these 4 are the only 4?
No, there could be more. This is generally the ones that we can usually tie a strategy back to one of these. Do you have a new fresh one to offer?
Well, the maintaining existing, I just want to expand on a couple of them. The maintaining existing transportation services and enhancing. If existing transit services, they should not be maintained if they are not serving the needs of people. So I'd rather enhance existing than maintain.
Okay, I see what you mean. With
the
the
word
but
expand.
after. Maintain existing transit, but only if,
If it's efficient,
efficient.
If riders
transportation.
don't, if riders
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're really displeased with the current system, strike that first one altogether and just focus on the last one.
Correct.
I would agree.
I thought that's rarely the case, but everyone's 100% happy with that. Okay, that's super helpful. This is really great. You guys are way more chatty and expressive than most of the communities I present to, so.
I think of all the ones, on the last slide, on the, effort, the, awareness and, awareness. I think of all of them, it seems like that one could take the least amount of energy, in a sense, energy to get the right people, you know, and I think it's cost effective, you know, find the right people with the right message, and of all of them, it's critical, but it's like, and then, but in order to create the awareness, you have to know what you're talking about, you know, so it's good to have that as I'd say the second priority, because as you're making the improvements, you want to share with people the greater awareness of all the improvements and the reasons why people are more
Yeah, so
it's
it's
a
a little bit.
one and a big triangle.
Yeah.
There's 3, they all work together.
Yeah, it's kind of woven throughout each of the different strategies.
Definitely prioritize, but we all work
Yeah. All right, well, in the interest of time, I'm gonna cut to the chase, which is some of the newer strategies that we've been noodling over. I did explain a couple of them. Portable fare programs, what would low fare, no fare, what does that look like? Exploring what that might look like within each organization. there's challenges there. The consolidation, which we've touched on. You know, also just the greater reach you get when you are under one umbrella. If everyone just has to know one thing, then you might know more than several different services. Is it a hard stop at 4:30?
That is up to the SSTAC.
Yeah, I think I have another 10 minutes, but I would like to leave room for discussions. I have it here.
Was that?
Mine too.
I'm okay. We're looking for a thumbs up.
Just a reminder though that we can't do any
public
decisions
safety.
or whatever without a quorum.
Yes, and also the public, once it ends, they can't speak outside of, we have to formally end it.
Once the meeting is adjourned.
Okay, great. Just talking about the weather, guys, which is lovely today. So travel training, that just came up, so I'm glad you mentioned it. We have seen a lot of success with folks going out to different nonprofits in the community, especially bilingual, like different speaking communities of different languages. And you guys have obviously the Spanish-speaking population here, but also Hmong. So getting out into the communities and having representatives from those different areas ride with their community members and just see where do these new routes go. Let's go up to Bernie. Let's check out some stuff, you know, and trying to make a little more awareness around things that people can do using the transportation services already available to them. That has been successful in places. Expanding, everybody wants weekend services. We're not alone. Every community I work in wants more, later, longer, everywhere, all the time, 24/7. So we always throw that in there. It's always asked for by the public. Regional driver training, which we discussed. This is all going to be content for our next tech memo, where we're going to dive in deeper. We're not going to just hand you a bullet list and be like, yay, go for it. We do have information, peer resources to discuss, different places we know have implemented these different strategies, how they've implemented these strategies. Is more of a general getting your feet wet. And app-based trip planning program, which we discussed a little bit earlier in your meeting. Where could someone just log on and see, how do I get A to B with the recommendations under like the Google enhanced. So, anyone see any issues that are maybe not being covered by the strategies? Those are my lasting questions here. And if something comes up at a later time and you want to email Pete and let him know, oh hey, when I was driving home it came to me, please feel free to do that. But any issues, any people we're forgetting? I'm a researcher, we're looking at data. Can you go back to the,
just for the Indian travel training, which I love, expand for organizations to specifically identify, youth or high school or kiddos with disabilities, people with disabilities in general. Just really call that out. I think we can work on that, bringing them in younger and that travel training to youth. And that supports a lot of also kiddos, just kiddos in general that I keep thinking about our high ACE scores and having a safe way to go places on your own if needed, because you are more or less crazy yourself in certain situations, that they have a safe place to go with trained drivers that can also be a safe person to contact. I think all of that can be involved with that travel training and just the safety of it and advocacy for users.
working with schools and libraries and community. I was just in Lincoln last week conducting a survey, and I was on their bus with 40 high school and middle school students, and I've never felt so old. It was so not cool. But it was really neat to see kids using the bus, and that's, everyone gets on the high school, middle school tripper, it's in the same place, it's very accessible to them.
Currently, we do provide travel training. We do provide remittas. We do provide instruction to go to schools. We've done, in fact, we have a school presentation, believe it or not, our youngest is kindergartners. But we do it, we do it at any school that calls and wants to set it up. So, that is available. We like to know ahead what we want, what we have to do, if it's middle age or middle school or high school students or children with disabilities, you know.
But it is on them to reach out
Yeah.
to develop.
It's something that falls between the cracks sometimes. You tell somebody in another agency such as school or whatever, we used to do these quite a bit. When COVID hit, it just kind of went out. There was no school.
So
So
changing
now
that
it's starting to come back.
enhancing, improving, expanding. Is there anything about the program right now, aside from maybe not being utilized as much as it could be, that needs improvement beyond just getting out there?
No, we have like, we show them how it works and how the buses, how you load, you put your money in, do that for the younger kids. And then, if they want to do like a drive around, we can have a small little drive around with the bus and stuff. We just like to know ahead of time what the agency's looking at, what the school's looking at, what they want to do. If they want to bring their students out to have an in-depth training session on how to ride the system, we can arrange for somebody to go out with a group and do that on the bus, in the actual bus. It's just knowing what they're targeting at.
I can't remember if this was discussed at a previous workshop or not, but one strategy that maybe we could consider is coordinating between transit agencies and the city bike share for first and last mile, because it's quite a distance sometimes between bus stops or between destinations, period. And so I think there's a way. I think that kind of straddles two buckets, maybe expanding service and then what are the other ones?
I think
Coordination.
I think infrastructure, like maybe, I mean, if you have the bike share infrastructure at your most popular bus stops.
Yeah. I don't know if that sounds good to the SSTAC or not.
Absolutely. Pop all of these questions up here. Yeah, and I think those opportunities are growing to more generally focused public agencies that are coming in to support that. It's a good time to prioritize that, because there's more options. Yeah. So, anything that's missing? We overlooked anything. We actually talked about some of the obstacles already. That was really organic, but that natural is. We discussed the different strategies. Is there anything that you've seen done elsewhere? And you're like, how did they do that? Look into that for us. Put it in the plan. We'll figure it out later. Mostly want this plan to be, your catch-all document for the next several years, where if there is a program there's interest, you can come to the plan and be like, it's in that plan. We've already figured it out.
And I will say, as a planning agency, that's very important. If it's not in the plan, then we have trouble implementing it.
Exactly.
So get it in the plan.
Yeah, think big, we can always edit later. But, yeah, maybe give us these questions about messages we go to technical.
I just want to echo what Christine said there. I don't know if you caught it, but she was asking, have you seen any examples of transit that you like in other places? And I think you just stop for a minute and think about your vacations to other places, whether they're small urban cities or big cities, other countries even. It doesn't matter, because if there's an element of that transportation experience where you kind of have this aha moment, that's something that it spans population size of a city. You might be able to translate some of those things over to our area.
Just a quick question on how Are we able to put anything in the plan on increasing the capacity for like bike racks or other elements on the buses?
Yeah.
Okay, well, do we know, right, like how many uniforms? Because the bikes, I remember the other meetings, the bikes are meant to be attached outside, we can't bring them off. They have to go outside. Okay, and how many?
But in Park City, they don't.
Yeah.
There's bike racks on their buses, inside.
Okay, so whether, yeah, even just an evaluation of making sure we can have the ability to expand the carrying capacity either externally or in terms of the vehicle for not just bikes, but other mobility devices.
So
Yeah.
I'll add to that you have trade-offs when you talk about that, when you look at different vehicles, especially if you're talking about coordination of rural services. Those vehicles sometimes are not too big for buses because they need smaller vehicles to get down rural roads that may not be paved or something like that. And you have capacity challenges that you have. So if you take space inside a vehicle, that means less space for ADA riders. Or there's other capacity challenges that you have. Or if you try to incorporate, although, I mean, I think it's a good strategy to suggest we also have that within if you have too large a vehicle. For instance, one of the challenges we know takes place those with their public transit providers is having enough drivers that are commercial driver license certified. That is a problem across the state of California, especially in rural areas. For training, we have enough. You don't have those, you have reduced capacity on the vehicle than you even have for riders. So I agree. I think it's a good thing to include in the plan.
Do we have an understanding of what exists and where we could maximize?
I think we have to study that.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, including is something that we'll be able to pursue and look into. It's good.
Yeah.
I will add this from observation of an obstacle. We live in California, and California is very specific on the EV 32, Assembly Bill 32. Senate Bill 375, reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Part of that effort requires that public transit agencies must convert fleets to zero-emission vehicles. One, there's a number of challenges with that in different areas depending on the types of vehicles available and the sizes. However, we have to recognize also that these services in the state is specifically targeting public transit. If we do coordination of services, and if we happen to partner with a private entity that technically at the moment doesn't follow the rules, do they now, because they are being contracted with under a public transit provider, now subject to those rules that otherwise they would not have been because they're private and they don't fall under current regulations as of yet. So there is an interesting challenge there of how do you do with that, and would you have certain individuals that would be interested using traditional fuel vehicles versus zero emission vehicles that they might be required to do so. And I bring this up when we look at TNCs. The state of California is required, TNCs being Uber, transit network companies, being Uber and Lyft is the two primary examples, are to move towards eventually more and more of the vehicle miles traveled by the vehicles of the people that they contract with have to be zero emission vehicles. So it's requiring more and more individuals that use their personal vehicle to have it as a zero emission vehicle. Otherwise, they wouldn't be eligible to be an Uber or Lyft rider in the state of California. So that's just one example of regulation that may become a challenge to coordinating certain services and implementing certain strategies.
I love that
I would be interested to know how that all relates to when you start having Uber, Lyft, whatever. Who oversees all the drug and alcohol for those drivers? That's another, I don't know, what do you want, bag of snakes or whatever to deal with.
Can of worms.
Getting the let's roll it up sign from the back here. And I do have one more very important thing to go over if we get to nothing else. We are updating the content to the Need a Ride guide. It is much overdue for refreshing. We do have the updated content here for you today to look at, peruse. Laurent's gonna pass it around or take one, pass it down. We have updated to the best of our knowledge the current services existing today is on one side. On the other side, services no longer servicing. It's a lengthy list, so don't be shocked. You know, a lot of different private taxis have gone on under limo services, some bigger services as well. And I just want everyone to just be aware of, you know, this is what we're working with, this is what we're trying to fit, and I didn't add more photos of it, but, you know, pretty complicatedly folded guide. This definitely folds under the awareness, increasing public awareness of the services. A big question today for you is, you'll notice on the spreadsheet, there is a box that's bold with red. You can see it, those are more private assisted living services that were previously noted in the Need a Ride guide. It is our recommended strategy that this be removed from the printed version. Because typically people who are using these services, they're living in the assisted living facilities, so they're aware of the services, and also you can't get them unless you live there. So it's not quite a public accessible service category, so we're just recommending that it be removed from it, but I wanted to get your thoughts today. It would be available online. We would still have that section in case, I don't know, my dad's getting older, I might want to look up what assisted living centers provide transportation. You know, it could be a good resource to hang on to. We've updated it with more current information, but I want to get your feedback on that.
I agree.
I just don't want to mislead people. Yes?
I just don't know if there's a distinction between assisted living facilities that are private versus those that are public.
Yes.
Authority, so.
I believe the ones that are listed there, and I have to double check, are all private assisted living. So much that my coworker was, you know, she's like, oh, this is interesting. You can't use these unless you live there. I was like, that's pretty private. Good info to have, especially for aging folks of the area, but maybe not for the printed paper handout. As you can see on the other side, there's quite a few services to list in a way that isn't too overwhelming. Great. This is our project timeline moving forward. We're working on Tech Memo 3. We're incorporating our input from you all today. Tech Memo 3 can be distributed to everyone so long as you don't discuss it with one another for review. But it's my understanding of the Brown Act is that you all may review a tech memo and give your feedback directly to myself or Keith, just not with each other CC'd. So we will be distributing it that way in October, and then we'll take a nice little break and just noodle on everything and come back together in January for our third and final workshop and our draft plan.
And while we're noodling between October and January, that's when we'll have that survey out without any unmet needs. So,
yes, good. Which, yeah, we can also include a little snippet of that in the final plan as well. March will be create the final for review and with an adoption in April. So with that, you all know how to reach Keith, Laurent, in case you don't, members of the public. But yeah, that concludes my portion of the workshop.
do you mind going to that one slide?
Totally.
Patrick, if you want to, we can move on to the next agenda item.
Okay, setting meeting date for the next workshop at SSTAC.
So we're looking to do that in January.
Right, Justine, just
I'm wide
looking at the
open.
timeline, do you have a preference of when in January?
Wide open. For you, anytime.
Thank you. So,
Mid?
you know, I just want
Not
to,
really.
I would like to try and come to some general agreement today if we can, just because, you know, as you know, we need to have a quorum in order to conduct business, and we're working with so many people, it is a challenge to coordinate schedules, and I know we're looking pretty far out, but hoping that that'll work to our advantage, that we can get on your calendar before anyone else does. So Yeah, any general preferences for, let's start with maybe either the beginning or the end of the month?
Yeah, the end's probably gonna be better for you. You've got kiddos that are probably out of school that first couple weeks,
Right.
and they've got extra people at home, so anything after the 15th, you might be a little better at.
I tend to agree.
End of January.
Yeah, mid to late.
Okay, so, I mean, we used to do SSTAC meetings on like the third Wednesday of the month, way back when I was more responsible for it. So, how does that sound?
It's a good day.
Or let me, actually, that does not work? Okay, that does not work. Okay.
So that was the 17th, did they say no?
They want to. What about the 18th?
The 18th, the Monday?
It's a
Oh,
Thursday.
what am I, the wrong month? Thursday.
No, but that's right over here.
What about the 22nd of the week? Not necessarily that, but the week of the 22nd, the Wednesday or the Thursday.
The Monday, the 22nd?
Well, I was saying that week,
Oh.
not Monday.
That Wednesday works?
Yeah, 24th.
24th? That works for me.
Hallie, it's your chair and co-chair, does that work for you?
Yeah, I have nothing on my,
On the 24th?
I love being ahead, good job.
I have nothing on my personal calendar, but
Sure. What was that? Yeah, afternoon, like this 3:30 to 5. Maybe we'll do next time.
Great, so oh, sorry.
Let's see if we can.
The chair.
We like her.
Well, I can, of course.
did you say the 24th?
Right.
I'm currently open on my work schedule, so that's fine.
Just looking at his calendar. No. No.
It's new, but it's.
Yeah.
As far as, right now, the 24th.
All right, 24th.
Cool. And so I imagine you'll get an invite out on that quickly.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, actually, if you can please reserve that date of January 24th for now, and then Laurent or I or Jen will make sure to try and set something out here within the next week to make it even more firm. Thank you so much.
Well, let's adjourn this meeting then. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Patrick. Just as a reminder, brown eyes. So you're encouraged to leave or to not talk about business of the SSTAC.
But before you leave, some cookies around.